It's 20-7. The death of more than 800 migrants in the Mediterranean 3 days ago has been described as the worst disaster of its kind.
With so many people fleeing North Africa, it's feared 30,000 migrants could die this year as they try to make the perilous crossing.
Well, one of those who's believed to have drowned is Gambian footballer Babacar Cissé, who's just 21 years old. His uncle has been talking to Breakfast about his nephew.
Babacar is the eldest son, and Babacar is the one that is the alpha male. Yeah, he was a very, very bright young man and ready to work, wanting to show his, effort that he can do things. Monday morning, I was at work and I just got this phone call from my, my niece saying that Babacar is gone. And I said, "What do you mean gone?" I thought it was a car accident. And then they told me what happened. And so I phoned them up, and then to find out how and why. And then they said, yeah, he left home about 2 months ago to Libya. These people, you pay them money, they ask you an amount, you pay them the amount, and then they say, okay, the ship gonna be here tomorrow or next week. And when the ship comes in, they just pack you in like a bag of potatoes. He always comes to me, uncle, when am I going to come to Europe? Uncle, I want you to invite me to Europe. I said, Babacar, and not only him, so many guys, that it's not as easy as you think it is. He was one of those unfortunate ones, thinking that, yeah, coming over to Europe, he would succeed and then get a job and help the family back home. But unfortunately, this tragedy happened and he lost his life.
Well, that was Malik Say, the uncle of one of the 800 migrants feared dead when their boat capsized in the Mediterranean on Sunday.
Well, with us now is Seana Roberts from the Merseyside Refugee Support Network. Good morning, Seana.
Morning.
You've been working with people trying to make their way over from North Africa for a number of years. I mean, that's just one of thousands of tragedies that we're seeing.
It has been awful, and it's escalated so much in the past weeks and months, but this has been going on for years. I mean, at one point several years ago we had a call to one of our guys who'd actually made it into the asylum system in the UK and was waiting for a decision from the Home Office, and he literally took a call from the Mediterranean and said, can you help, asked us could we help his friend, and at that point it was a situation where they'd run out of petrol. It wasn't an unsafe vessel. But I think what we're seeing in the news is a reflection of how desperate people are and how awful, they're prepared to take those huge risks, risking literally life and limb, but escaping persecution, torture from their home countries. And it's clearly seen as a way of escape, seeking sanctuary, whether in the UK or other parts of Europe.
And what seems to be emerging is that there are people making large amounts of money out of this as well.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of the issue, and we've heard stories in the past as well that it's the people fleeing from Libya that are actually told, well, you drive the boat, so that the traffickers are taking money off people, offering them hope, and actually it's inexperienced people given the charge of these really dodgy vessels.
What does your group do for these people?
Well, we're Liverpool-based small charity. Most of our work is helping people once they've been through the asylum process and got a decision from the Home Office, whether as refugees or with a different form of leave to remain, and helping them with their onward integration. But we're based with sort of Asylum link, and we work with other organisations across Liverpool.
What sort of image do people coming across the Mediterranean have of what life is going to be like in Britain or in other EU countries, and is it an accurate one?
I think people leave their countries for fear of what they're escaping something that they've left behind. I think they're hoping that they can seek sanctuary. I don't think a lot of the politicians and bits of the media seem to portray that everyone's sort of turning up to get a good job or get a benefit, and people aren't fleeing persecution or torture for that. They're fleeing persecution and torture and trying to save their lives and then try and move on and integrate. So we then try and help people with their skills for finding work, whether it's language skills, whether it's just confidence, or dealing with homelessness, because there are no instant fixes once people come through the system. And I think it is difficult for the wider public to understand how tragic it is and the trauma that people are dealing with. So they might seem as normal to you and me, but they could break down at any minute when there's a trigger that sets them off.
And what about what seems to be happening at the moment, these incoming boats? What should be done, do you think, around the Mediterranean?
Well, I think for a long time there's been a resistance across the EU to do anything meaningful. There's no common European asylum policy that's meaningful, and even sort of 10, 15 years ago, when those types of sort of policies were talked about, originally people were allowed the right to work. When an asylum seeker comes to the UK, they're not allowed to work. They have to wait until they've got a decision, or wait until they've been given permission even to volunteer. And I think across Europe, these tragedies, I mean, it's just escalating. I think the reports were that it's gone from 3,000 to 30,000. You know, there's too many people dying, and we've got to take responsibility across Europe, because we all signed up to the Geneva Convention in 1951 to stop tragedies like this happening. So changing hearts and minds and providing sanctuary is what we need.
Seana, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
It's, Seana Roberts.